Alright, what's going on YouTube? So a lot of you keep asking me to inform you guys about Bitcoin, what you can do to start investing, where you can start investing, why is it a good idea, etc, etc. So I brought my Bitcoin traveler friend from the future, who is gonna educate you guys today on why it's important for you guys to get involved, and if you don't, you're gonna be missing out severely. So why do people need Bitcoin?
Right now, sitting in a bank account, your money is losing 1% a month, every month, globally. Doesn't matter what country you're in, but every government on the planet is just been printing money like crazy to solve all their problems, and they've been doing it since the beginning of time. And it's been the downfall of just about every major civilization in mankind's history, is they get spread too thin, too many problems, they print too much money, devalue their currency, and it leads to the end of an empire.
And that's kind of like what's going on right now, basically. It
Yeah.
seems like, at least.
And right now, with the dollar as the reserve currency of the world, everyone thinks that it doesn't matter. They can just keep printing money and it'll be fine.
Yeah.
You've got money from all these, you've got currencies from all these different countries all over the world that are failing. Look at Turkey. It's got over 10 or 15% inflation every single month this year.
Jeez.
And the reason that inflation might not seem important to you now, but it is very important, is because you can't imagine, like, how am I going to make a lot of money off of Bitcoin? Instead, it's the best store of value we've ever had in human history. We've had gold, and that's been great for over a millennia, but now we have Bitcoin, and it's like gold 2.0. If you have $1 billion in the bank account and you're losing, over 10% a year to inflation, 15% a year to inflation, that means that you're losing over $150 million a year just to inflation. So you've got to make $150 million a year just to break even. And so when you've got a lot of money, you don't want to worry about it anymore. You've made your money, you want to relax on a beach in the Caymans or something, or on a boat in Ibiza, then you want to leave your money somewhere where you don't have to worry about losing it. Essentially, if you want to keep your money, you're going to put it into Bitcoin because it's safer than putting it into the gold market. It's safer than putting it into the real estate market. It's safer than putting it into the bond market, which, I don't know, a lot of people aren't aware, but 40% of their salary every year, most people that have a salary, they've got a 401k match plan, and so a lot of their money goes straight into their 401k, and they don't even realize it. And a lot of that money goes straight into our bond market. And our bond market is providing a return about 1.3% a year. And when inflation is like 5, 10, 15% a year, why are people putting their money into the bond market? It makes absolutely no sense. You're signing up to lose money for the next 10, 20, 30 years.
Yeah, so if they're archaic and they're not basically catching on that Bitcoin's going to be the better route, that they're just going to keep losing their money.
Exactly. I mean, the bond market worked for people that were coming out of the Great Depression. You wanted an income, and so as long as you put your money into this thing and it gave you at least a 1% return, you were happy with that because at least you weren't losing anything. But now, especially since COVID, and especially since they've been printing money at rates faster than ever in American history, 40% of every dollar that was made, or 40% of every dollar that exists, was made last year.
Yeah, I heard that somewhere.
Out of over 300 years. Our debt going into COVID was 18 trillion. And our debt now, after 2 years, is almost 30 trillion. Mm-hmm. And so we basically added on almost an extra 10 trillion in debt in 2 years, almost doubling, well, not doubling, but almost 50% what took us 300 years. Mm-hmm. And so you've got, and I don't know if you're aware, but the bond market is a $100 trillion market cap. And what that means is that Bitcoin right now is a $1 trillion market cap. And so the gold market is 10 trillion, bond market is 100, right? And so if you took all the money of all the gold in the world and you weighed it out, it'd be worth $10 trillion. And right now the gold has provided a 0% return over the last 10 years. And so you're starting to get people wondering, like, oh, should I put my money elsewhere? I've kept all this gold in a vault for decades and it's not really doing anything. It's keeping my value safe. But maybe I should experiment with this Bitcoin thing that's coming out. Or maybe they die, because it's your grandparents' money and they die and you inherit all this gold. And so you're younger, you want to try out crypto, you've been hearing a lot about Bitcoin, and so you decide, I'm going to just try this. And so it really would only take 1 in 10 of the gold bugs to die or move their money into Bitcoin, 10% of the market to move into Bitcoin to completely double Bitcoin's market cap. So you've got 1 trillion versus 10 trillion. You take 1 trillion from the 10 and you put it in the 1, that completely doubles it. 100% growth. And that right there would give us a $100,000 Bitcoin. And that's only 1/10 of the gold market, as people start to realize, like, oh, I can earn 100% a year instead of 0%. I might as well try that. You know, and it'll take a little time, but more and more money will flow into Bitcoin.
Yeah, more adoption to
exactly
using Bitcoin.
And so that's just the gold. You know, the
yeah,
bond market,
real estate, bond.
The bond is 100 trillion, so it's 10 times gold. All you need is 1% of people to start waking up that have a salary, that are just saying, oh, maybe I'll just try it. It takes 1%. So once again, double Bitcoin's market cap.
So there's like a lot of things that can like basically cause this avalanche of like Bitcoin's price increase to happen, and it's all like stacking up. And
right now, you've got 150 million people fighting over it, but that number's doubling every year. So next year you're gonna have 300 million. The year after that, you're gonna have 500 million. And the year after that, you're gonna have 1 billion people, all fighting over the same 21 million Bitcoins.
Yeah, and if it keeps going at that rate, it could go even faster.
Deflationary, you know. We're running out of Bitcoins. You know, like 3 million, 4 million are lost and gone forever. You know, every time someone dies and doesn't leave instructions to get their seed phrase for their kids or something, then those Bitcoin are lost and gone. You know, every time someone loses a seed phrase, it's gone. And so that number is only decreasing. And in 100 years, the last Bitcoin will be mined up. But I think in the next, 10 years, 90% of the Bitcoin will be pretty much mined up. And that's when I think the price will kind of stabilize. And, right now when you have billions of dollars, just if not trillions of dollars, waiting to just pour into this, as soon as the banks are allowed to start storing it and they can start accumulating it so that they can start providing it for their clients, nobody's going to be selling Bitcoin anymore. Why would anyone sell it if it's just skyrocketing? You can just hold it because it's one of the most valuable and rare assets on the planet. And so once every bank in the world gets the green light to just start buying this thing and stashing it and holding it, nobody's going to sell. Everyone's just going to be holding it. And so you get in now, there's a solid chance for you, 10x, 100x on your investment. But you shouldn't be looking at Bitcoin as how to make money. You should be looking at it as you've made some money. How do I keep it safe?
Going on YouTube, we're sitting here editing this video, and I totally forgot to tell you to sign up for BLOCKFI. I started doing this. I've only got a couple $100 in it, and I've already been paid for the month, 76 cents, and it's been like it's today.
You got paid in Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So that 76 cents will fluctuate.
Right.
It's not just stuck at 76. It'll grow.
Right. And so as Bitcoin grows, that payment grows as well. I'm going to go ahead and drop the link in the description for a referral. So when you sign up, you'll get $10, and then I'll also get $10. So
in Bitcoin.
In Bitcoin also. So if
cash is trash, bro. Bitcoin is the future.
If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and go down to the description, hit the link, sign up. If you sign up with $100 or more, we both get a $10 bonus, and $10 bonus right now in Bitcoin could end up being thousands of dollars. So get on it.
But yeah, so why do people need Bitcoin? It's because you can't trust your government. We never have been able to, and we all know that. And they've been, to solve every problem, they just print more money just to fix it. And so it's only a matter of time. It's like, let's say you just had a baby and you put the baby in a bedroom, and it might be slow, but every year you lower the thermostat by 5 degrees. And so after a year or two, they're not really going to notice it, but after 3 or 4 or 5 years, it's going to start to get cold in there, and they have to live in this freezing cold room, and they're eventually going to freeze to death.
It's the same thing they're doing with our money, basically.
It's exactly what they're doing with our money. Why is Bitcoin working? Why is it going up? Why is everyone else buying this? And then you question why you've been putting your money in the bank. Because you put the money in the bank and it loses value. But for you, you're taught like, oh, I have security. I've got 10 grand saved up. I got 5 grand, emergency day. I'm good. and that provides a sense of security. And soon, you'll have the same sense of security from owning a little bit of Bitcoin, because I would say it's almost riskier to not own it than it is to own it. You know, it's almost to the point where you'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it, because this is the race. It's like one of the biggest accumulation games that there will ever be. We finally found perfect money. We finally found something to render gold obsolete after thousands of years. And I mean, if you have any questions on how that even works, like just imagine, nobody uses gold anymore. Most gold just sits in vaults and banks all around the world. And it's not feasible to use units of gold between 10 billion people on millions of transactions all over the place, all over the day,
right,
all over the world. It just doesn't make any sense. If you wanted to send somebody $1 billion worth of gold from California to South Africa, you would need trucks, boats, guys with guns to guard those trucks and boats, steel, concrete, and I mean, once you get the gold to South Africa, you probably have to pay for the vault to even house your gold and keep it safe for you. And who's to say once you got there that it would even still be there for you? Like, something might have happened along the way. You might get robbed on the way to your gold to make sure it was still there. Maybe you're keeping it in a sketchy place that's not very safe, and something happens to you on the way there. Gold's gone. With Bitcoin, you can just pick up your phone, transfer somebody $1 billion worth of Bitcoin, someone in South Africa, they would get it in less than 5 seconds. Very minimal fee. There's no record, so you don't have to ask your bank. Like, if you want to go in tomorrow and be like, oh, I want to withdraw all the money from my bank. I need my $10 million, whatever you want. I need that right now. One, they wouldn't have it. They'd tell you we need a few days to get that ready. Two, they'd probably put you in a room with a whole bunch of suits trying to talk you out of it. Maybe even a lawyer too, telling you that they're going to have to notify the IRS or the SEC, saying that you taking $1 million out is a red flag. I mean, that's bullshit. It's your money. You should be able to do what you want with it and not ask permission. And that is what Bitcoin allows you to do. You know, you can instantaneously transfer money around the world without asking permission, without any regulation. And, you know, the modern day banking system cannot compete with that. I mean, they're still dealing with a settlement. Like, I don't know if you don't do much trading, but when you do day trading, you have to wait for your funds to settle. And some brokerages make you wait 2 or 3 days. And that was based on the fact that they had to send a horse a couple states away to actually do the trade in hand and then come back. And so that's why you had to wait for the funds to settle. There's no reason for it to still be in play now, but 2020, we're still having to wait these 2 or 3 days for our funds to settle in some of these brokerages, that makes no sense to me. You know, like why couldn't they?
Yeah, I was just complaining about that earlier. Why it's like how some things can be instant and then other programs.
Why are banks closed on the weekend?
Yeah.
There's no reason for you to not access your money on the weekend. Like, sure, you can still spend it, but you can't go into the bank and make a withdrawal or deposit or do anything. Yeah, it's just obsolete. It's archaic. And so, I mean, Bitcoin solves so many problems around every aspect of life. I mean, we could really go into it and say that Bitcoin could defund our military, defund war. It could bring about world peace. Because, you know, in 1933, the U.S. government basically made gold illegal. They said, if you own any gold, if it's in your bank, we're closing the banks, we're taking it from you. And they took everyone's gold. And they went and they sold it back to the rest of the world for 300%, 400% profits, whatever and that's helped finance the war. But that's when we got off the gold standard. And so then eventually our dollars were silver notes, not gold notes anymore. And you know, in the 70s, when Nixon took us off the gold standard completely, our dollar stopped being backed by anything. And that's what financed the Vietnam War. And so we haven't had to pay for our wars because we can just keep pressing the money button and printing money to buy us another jet or another tank or another soldier. But, you know, eventually, other countries around the world are going to stop and say, like, look, you can't keep doing that. Eventually, it's gonna stop, and they're gonna say, like, why are we gonna keep buying your debt? Because that's where the majority of the bond market is. We come back to the bond market. It's the biggest market in the world, in our world, and there's no reason for other governments to keep participating in buying our bonds if we're just gonna keep devaluing our currency. There's no reason. Why would you give somebody $100,000 if they only have to give you 40,000 back. And that's what's happening every day. And so other governments are starting to get pissed off, but they don't have a choice because their currency is doing worse than ours. And so we're finally have a system to actually hold these guys accountable. Because if they're forced to use the Bitcoin and they don't have enough Bitcoin, suddenly they can't pay for these wars anymore.
Right.
And so as soon as we can't afford that anymore, as soon as we stop putting hundreds of billions of dollars into our military bill, I mean, sky's the limit. We could fix our infrastructure, roads, bridges, efficient ones. And so the sooner you buy Bitcoin, the sooner you convince your parents to buy Bitcoin, your neighbors, your friends, the sooner we hold our own government accountable, the sooner we have a system that can work. And it's not going anywhere. As soon as the government maybe tries to ban it, like China did, you'll notice all the Bitcoiners just go everywhere else. The world's a big place.
Just keep moving.
There's plenty of places that are very crypto friendly because they've been, squeezed into a dark hole and they've got very few options left. And Bitcoin is their Hail Mary just to get them out. And you look at El Salvador and what they're doing, and it's honestly making a lot of people very unhappy because it's gonna make a lot of
people, and that's what
the people that are unhappy are the people that are in control. The elite puppet master, Illuminati, ultra 1%, the guys that have the most to lose if the dollar fails.
Right.
As soon as they start pricing oil in Bitcoin on your screen instead of dollars, that's how you know the dollar's failed. And everyone in the world is going to be looking for the next alternative.
Right.
And Bitcoin can easily be that.
Right.
Why would you keep dollars when they keep printing dollars? 25 billion a day.
I made $100, and then the next month it's not even worth that $100 anymore.
Exactly. Why would you save it? It makes no sense. Instead, you should be every dollar they print, every paycheck you get, you just buy a little bit more and just keep accumulating. Because price will go up, price will go down, but eventually the supply shock will happen. There's not enough Bitcoin to go around. And once everyone realizes that,
well, I mean, I've even done the math. What is it, 41 or 46 millionaires?
There's 46 millionaires on the planet.
And there's 21 million.
21 million Bitcoins.
4 million of that is already gone.
3 million in Bitcoin already gone. They've got Satoshi's million that haven't been activated in almost 10 years. And, I mean, I think Satoshi's passed away. I think it was Hal Finney. But of the 21 million, I think we've lost almost 25% of them. And so, and then you've got people like Michael Saylor, who own over 100,000, or the Winklevoss twins, the first crypto billionaires, who have, like, I think it was 500,000 Bitcoin.
We got a crazy amount of Bitcoin.
And so you've got all these people that have mass amounts, like, the El Salvador just bought another 100 last week. And so it's not like everyone's going to have one. There's a lot of people that have a lot.
Some are going to have some, and then some are going to have.
And so if every millionaire went out tomorrow and said, we want to convert all of our cash into Bitcoin, there's enough for every one of them to have about a quarter of a Bitcoin. So if you can get to a quarter of a coin, that should be worth over $1 million one day.
I can see that.
And a quarter of a Bitcoin right now is going for about $17,000. $15,000.
So spend 17, get $1 million. It's not a bad deal.
Well, and that's where we get back to the point of when would you want to convert it back to the million? Because that $1 million in cash, sure, buy that house, buy you a new Lambo.
And then what?
But exactly, because you're still left with you'd rather have that Bitcoin. Like, Bitcoin is a store of value. If you could sell it to change your life in a beneficial way, whether you really need the money or you would like to improve your life, like buy yourself a home, that's just one investment into another. Cryptocurrencies versus real estate. Both have been great choices. Real estate can crash, Bitcoin can crash, but they've both been, over time, great investments. Having a house, I would never say it's a bad investment. And if you can sell some Bitcoin to buy yourself a house, not saying don't do it at all. I am saying that once you sell your Bitcoin for $1 million, that might end up being one of the biggest mistakes you ever make, because that $1 million
next year
is
could
losing value
$2
so
million
much faster
or something
than your Bitcoin is becoming worth. Because Bitcoin will always be one Bitcoin. So that's why the world needs Bitcoin. That's why the people need Bitcoin. That's why Bitcoin was created. Is money made for the people, by the people, and the guy who made it isn't even profiting off of it. He just solved the problem that needed to be solved that existed for over 1,000 years.
So if people want to buy a Bitcoin, what would you suggest they do? If you were to invest $100 or $1,000 right now, what would you do? What would your course of action be?
Robinhood, you can buy it on COINBASE, you can buy it on Binance, you can buy it on Kraken. There's just a dozen brokerages that are selling it. If you don't want to deal with any of these brokerages, you could probably buy it just on your stock exchange app. If you got a Charles Schwab or a TD Ameritrade or Wells Fargo, Bank of America, any app that does trading in the stock market, you can buy Grayscale, Bitcoin Trust. You could buy Michael Saylor's company, MicroStrategies. There's Bitcoin mining companies, Riot, Marathon. If you want exposure to Bitcoin, it's very easy to get exposure to Bitcoin. But if you were doing any amount less than $1,000, I would say get BlockFi, because BlockFi, you actually earn interest on your Bitcoin, and up to about, I think, 4 or 5% a year, and you can get paid in more Bitcoin. So every month you're earning Bitcoin on top of your Bitcoin, and so you're earning not dollars, which are depreciating. You're earning an asset that's growing at 100% a year. If you're just talking small amounts, which is how you should start, you shouldn't just get in all at once, because it is moving very quickly, but it's also very volatile.
Yeah, you were talking to me about that too. That it's better to go $100 a day rather than just all at once.
Exactly.
That made more sense. And I didn't listen, and it ended up being something that I should have done.
It's called dollar cost averaging. And Bitcoin fluctuates 5 to 10% every day, 20% a week. And so if you get in all at once, there could be a month or two where that was the high point. You got unlucky and it goes down.
Yeah.
And you're going to wish that you didn't save a little bit more money so you can buy more at a cheaper price. And so if you buy, a large lump sum at one time and it goes down, you're on a roller coaster. You don't have more funds to buy more. If it's going up or down, that's literally the ride that you're going on.
Yeah.
But let's say you want to invest $1,000. I would buy $50 or $100 every single day at the same time. Don't even look at the price.
Yeah.
And
keep doing it,
hopefully by the end of the month or two, you can have another $1,000 to start to keep doing that.
Yeah.
Because then you're getting all the lowest prices and you're getting the highest prices, but overall you're getting the average price.
Yeah.
And that way you're not getting taken nearly as much for a ride. On days where it dips a ton, you can say, shit, okay, maybe I'll buy 100 or maybe I'll buy 200 today.
Yeah.
And I'll buy a bit extra.
Yeah.
And on days where it's extra expensive, you can be like, okay, it just hit its all-time high today.
Yeah.
Maybe I won't buy today. Because it's probably going to bounce off that and retrace for a bit. So every time it hits a new all-time high, there's people that are selling, taking profits, and it'll stagnate, pause there for a bit before it just keeps going. So even if it's flying, don't FOMO in just because it's flying straight up, because it's going to come back down.
Yeah.
You just have to ignore that emotion for about 30 minutes to 2 hours, maybe even 2 days.
That's another whole video in itself, just to try and ignore
master those. Exactly.
Yeah.
No, discipline is something that we're all trying to master, because it's easy to hold something that's losing you money, because you're already committed.
Right.
It's hard to hold something that's making you money, because every minute it's going up, you're like, oh my god, should I sell?
Yeah.
Because what if it just drops and I lose everything?
Yeah.
But every minute it's going up higher and higher. You're like, well, fuck, I don't want to sell right now.
It's the same on either end almost. It's like if you start losing a bunch of money, you're like, oh, I don't want to lose all my money. Let's just I sell now. Like,
exactly. So you have to master your emotions.
Yeah.
The easiest way to do that is to not even look at the price.
Yeah, that's hard.
You know what the fundamentals are. You know that Bitcoin is going to take over the world, maybe save the world. And you just need to keep accumulating and keep buying. And even if it's only, like, I know people that have $1 every hour. They have an app set to just buy them $1 worth of Bitcoin every hour. And you should be able to afford about $20 a day. Most people can if you work, and But even if it's only $5 a day, even if it's only $10 a week, I've got a friend I told back in June. I was like, hey, for your kids, you have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. Every week, just buy them $20 worth of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
You can afford $40 a week for your 2 kids. And he
would
told me, he's like,
crazy.
this Bitcoin buying account is already doing better than almost every other account I'm using.
Yeah.
But I mean, he got it in June when it was like all-time lows.
Yeah.
But he's only seen it being going up now. But yeah, it's crazy because I mean, there's plenty of stats. Like, Bitcoin has never been below the 200-day moving average line. Bitcoin has never not been 10 times its price from 4 years ago on that same day. Bitcoin's stock to flow model has Bitcoin over $100,000 by the end of this year, and it's got it over $1 million a coin by 2025.
Yeah.
10 million a coin by 2030.
Yeah. It's crazy how big it can get, the possibilities, and that's almost another reason why to do it too. It's like if you if you can get in, you should. Because, I mean, if it does do what it's supposed to do, it's going to be crazy. But if it doesn't do it, then it's like, all right, no big deal. But if you do win, you win big time.
No, I mean, the risk to reward ratio, it's not like you're going in and you're betting on red or black.
Yeah.
This is like, you've got the smartest people on the planet all funneling into this space as fast as they can.
Yeah.
Billionaires like Michael Saylor dumping his life savings, doing anything he can just to acquire more. You know? And so that's why, you know, you have to ignore all the fear and uncertainty, the doubt, the FUD, as they call it, as it spreads through the Twitter, YouTube, Reddit, because they're trying as hard as they can to keep the price down. Because they know it's going to keep going up. It's only a matter of time. It's an accumulation game.
Yeah.
And it can't be stopped.
Mm.
China tried to ban it.
Didn't work.
No.
Yeah.
America might try to ban it.
Yeah.
That'll be big. Might tank the price by 50-60%.
I don't think that'll
there will
ever
still
happen,
be there will still be places that want to buy your Bitcoin.
So if you enjoyed that and you want to see more, or if you have any questions, leave any questions down in the comments, and we could go over those on a future video. There's a lot to be said, so there's obviously going to be stuff that we've left out today, but
no, I'm sure I touched on a lot of things today that, you know, I barely even brushed the surface, tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
I could talk for an hour about any one of these topics. So
cool. So yeah, there'll be more videos coming. Stay tuned for that, and I guess we'll get back into it on a later date.
Eyes open.